Add some of those crispy tortillas, and we are in for one of my favorite easy, lazy, tasty soups. Isn't that what you want out of a soup? Easy, lazy, tasty? That's what I want out of it anyway, especially today. I love to cook, but I'll be honest, sometimes even I don't feel like being in the kitchen. So this week, I'm showing you 3 different ways I approach nutritious, filling, and flavorful food at home. White chicken chili is on the menu today, and it's something that I make when I'm feeling either super lazy, like I don't want to cook, or like I need something healthy, filling, nutritious, flavorful in like 30 minutes or less. I'm taking all the help I can get from the store today, using things from my pantry, things from my freezer, and even a rotisserie chicken. There is a little bit of slicing and dicing, but this one could not be easier. We're really just throwing a whole bunch of flavorful ingredients in a pot. No special tools or equipment except for a big stock pot. And if you want to have crispy fried tortilla strips for the top of your soup, you'll need a sheet pan. So this meal is pretty much just dump and go, and it continues to get better the longer it sits in your fridge. So if you have leftovers for this one, which I would highly recommend, pop them in the fridge and eat them throughout the week. That's my plan too. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just make some crispy tortilla strips. And you can use flour or corn tortillas. I find that flour work a little bit better, and you can use whatever size you want. I happen to have these street taco size. And all we're gonna do is spice these to our liking, put a little bit of oil on them, and crisp them up in a 400-degree oven. So in front of me, I have a bowl for us to mix them in, a small little baking tray to put them on to bake them in the oven. Add a little bit of olive oil, move that out of the way. Cut these into strips, about 1/4 of an inch, just like that, into a bowl. And I'm gonna drizzle a little bit more olive oil over the top of them, teaspoon or 2. And then add some salt and some paprika. Those are the spices that I like on my crispy fried tortilla strips. But you can use whatever spices you want. A little bit of cayenne would be nice here. Give it a little bit of a kick. Garlic, onion, kind of whatever you want. So give these a stir. Just make sure those spices are evenly distributed. And then using my fingers, I just lay these strips out in an even layer, and they're gonna go right in a 400-degree oven. And they go pretty quickly, so they're gonna take probably max 7 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna set the first timer for 5 minutes and probably flip them once. You don't want them to get super dark brown. They just turn kind of burnt and flavorless. We just want them to crisp up a little bit. So quick trip to the oven, and we're gonna get started on the soup. First step on our soup, get a little bit of olive oil in our soup pan. Stock pot. I'm using a really big stock pot and just have about a tablespoon of oil, just enough to lightly cover the bottom. And then I'm just gonna dice up this onion and a little bit of garlic. This is a sweet onion, but you can use yellow or white onions, whatever you like. A red onion will even work well in this. Onion goes into our stock pot. A couple cloves of garlic. So I have, this looks like 5 cloves of garlic, but you can garlic to your heart's content. So this is a soup that I tend to crave when I'm feeling under the weather. And so sometimes I'll add a whole lot of garlic to it and a whole lot of cayenne pepper and a really spicy salsa. But we're keeping it pretty tame today. Garlic right in with our onions, and I'm gonna get this pot on the stove with about a medium heat under it. We're gonna cut up a couple more things and then move over to the stove and finish this soup off. So I just gave our onions a stir and flipped our tortillas. They're now sitting in the oven that is still warm, but I've turned it off. And I'm gonna show you how I make this soup extra creamy. So I have 2 cans of beans here. One is Great Northern, one is cannellini. I'm actually not sure which is which, but I'm going to set 1 can of beans aside and put those in whole. And then using a potato masher, I'm gonna mash up this 2nd can of beans. I like a little bit of creaminess in the background of this soup, and I find that mashing these beans and adding a little bit of yogurt, stirring it together, makes a really nice creaminess in the back of the soup. You can use a food processor if you want, but I can't be bothered to get a food processor out, clean it. That's good enough for me. And then I just stir in the yogurt, and this is about a cup of yogurt. I just mix it right in with the beans, and this is what's gonna provide some great body and creaminess in the back of our soup. Okay, I like a really zesty soup. 3 of our halves are gonna go in the soup, and then this is gonna be served as garnish alongside the soup. So I'm just quartering these guys into little wedges. They're gonna stay on the bench. And then cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, skip it, but I love cilantro, so I'm just gonna dice this up. Okay, cilantro done. I'm gonna get cleaned up here and move all of this over the stove, and we're ready to pull this soup together. So, a plethora of things to my right here. Chicken, beans, corn, cilantro, salsa, salt and pepper, a little bit of still frozen chicken stock, spices, limes, chilies, and I think that's it. And like any time that I cook something like this, that it has a pretty decent amount of dried spices. I like to try to get as much flavor out of the spices as is possible, so I cook the spices a little bit in whatever oil is left over. So I'm just dumping in paprika, chili powder, cayenne pepper, and some oregano. And then over a medium-low heat, I just stir these spices in, try to get them coated with some of that oil that the onions have been cooking in. And I just let these spices cook for a couple minutes. It's called blooming the spices, and it just brings out as much flavor as is possible. Since we're relying pretty heavily on the pantry, the freezer, I just try to get as much flavor out of every step as I can. Okay, spices have been going for probably like 90 seconds. I'm starting to really smell them. They smell delicious. So now we just start dumping and going. First, I'm gonna add the chicken stock to give everything else something to groove in. And you'll see, it's still halfway frozen. That's no problem at all. It's gonna heat up. So while that chicken stock is coming up to temp, I'm gonna add some water, about a quart of water. Quart of water goes in. There's no exact measurement on how much broth, stock, water you need. It depends on how thick you like your soup, how much you're making, how many leftovers you want. So I can bump the heat up to like medium high now and just get this going. So the first thing I'm gonna add is the beans mixture, get this all stirred together. You have to be a little bit careful adding yogurt or sour cream to something hot. It can sometimes split, so that's why I like to add it early in the process. Okay, that's nicely combined. So next, beans, corn. This is frozen corn, but it will be not frozen basically the second it hits that hot broth, and our chicken. Okay, so in go the chilies. This is just one small can of mild green chilies. Limes, squeezing all 3 lime halves in. Cilantro. I'm gonna use 3/4 of it or so. I like to add it a little bit extra. Some folks eating this soup like cilantro, some don't like it as much. So I'm gonna stir some in, and then for those of us that love it, we have extra for the top. Okay, I'm gonna add some salt and pepper. But I'm gonna give it a taste right after salting and peppering. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Stir that in, and I'm gonna give this a taste. We still have up to a jar of salsa verde that we can add in for just more flavor going on in the background. But I wanna taste this first and see where we are flavor-wise. It's really nice. Needs more salt and pepper. And I'm gonna add in about half of this jar of salsa. Okay, soup's on, time to serve. And a couple tortilla chips. Add some of those crispy tortillas, and we are in for one of my favorite easy, lazy, tasty soups. Isn't that what you want out of a soup? Easy, lazy, tasty? That's what I want out of it anyway, especially today. Okay, let's take a bite. I just love this version of chili. It feels so much lighter to me than a typical tomato-based beef chili. I really like all the textures and the flavors that we have going on here. And it's really quite versatile too. You could absolutely add other or more vegetables if you wanted, if you were feeling less lazy than I was feeling. But this will keep in your fridge for a couple of days. This is something that I often cook for meal prep when I want to eat it throughout the week. And the longer that it sits in your fridge, honestly, the better that it gets. The flavors come together. It turns a little bit creamier. It gets a little bit thicker. It's just a really nice soup that will last for a while. So for me, this is kind of the perfect lazy, easy, nutritious, super flavorful soup for a cold and rainy winter day. At least that's what the conditions are like for us in the Pacific Northwest today. I hope you enjoy this one. If you give it a try, please let me know in the comments below, or if you have your own version, let me know what's different. I'd love to hear about it. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more and stick around, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you, and I look forward to seeing you here next time. Cheers.